Hello there. We're here to talk about a survey that we're doing in the IT industry in Scotland, and what we're looking at is psychological safety, which relates to a few things and a few principles that we have in the Lean Agile community. My name's Scott. I'm an Agile coach. The terms I'd like to explain are, in the background, is in Lean Agile we take a lot of principles from one of the manufacturing gurus called Deming. One of the things that Deming said was we should drive fear out of organisations. Now he said that a long time ago. He said that in the 70s. But in the Agile community we've got a lot of interest in psychological safety, in creating fear-free or safe spaces. So I'm very interested in that as a coach. I've got lots of anecdotal information from one-to-one interactions, and the one thing I didn't have was any empirical data or research data, and then one day I met Ian in a pub.
Yeah, so I'm Ian, I'm an organisational psychologist. Met with Scott, I had a really interesting conversation with him, really powerful, really insightful. So one of the challenges that we've been finding is just around what Deming said. He said, drive fear out of the organisation so that it may be more effective. But we're finding that fear is quite a powerful word. As a psychologist, I engage with fear every day. I don't think it's a big deal. But once we actually start to go through people's experience of fear and how they speak about that, then sometimes people are afraid to say they're afraid. So we're just looking at ways in the survey of how we can understand levels of psychological safety in the workplace, and maybe taking that approach help with Deming's principle of driving fear out of the workplace.
Yeah, I'm very interested in diversity. So one of the things that we're looking at is this effective in communities of the same type of worker, the same type of people, the same people with the same background. So we are going to be asking some questions in the survey around about who you are, but also I've been very much involved in lots of NHS projects and things where we've gathered lots of data. So one of the things I want to make clear, and one of the reasons I'm working with a psychologist, is the data will be held by a psychologist under the Code of Ethics. All the data will be anonymised. If we do ask you for background information, or if you do want to, or if you've been troubled by the survey and you'd like to get in contact with us, this data will be held separate. So really all we're going to take forward in our longitudinal study, and Ian will talk a little bit about what a longitudinal study is, will be held completely anonymous. So we're not going to be able to identify companies from this. We're not going to be able to identify individual people or small numbers. What's a longitudinal study, and why are they so useful?
So a longitudinal study is really useful, and fundamentally all it is a series of similar studies over a time series. So that means that this survey, we're planning to do it at the end of March, start of April 2019, and then maybe in a year's time, maybe in 6 months' time, repeat a similar survey so we can start to get a feel for trends in levels of psychological safety in the workplace.
Yeah, and this way we'll know whether we're getting better or not. I like to think that as more organisations are moving towards working agile, especially in Scotland, what this will do is it'll make us better places to work. It'll give us an opening up of dialogue, and that's going to make us much more effective in innovation. Innovation is what's really going to drive all future economies. So I really want to understand what the knowledge workers in Scotland are feeling.
Yeah, and that's what it's all about. It's not just creating a warm fuzzy feeling in the workplace, although that would be lovely. What we really want to do is encourage innovation, encourage creativity, encourage collaboration, so people feel safe to speak up to each other, to maybe make mistakes, to do wee experiments. And that's kind of what we're doing with this survey. The first one that we're doing here is just really a wee experiment to get a feel, to understand something about this landscape, and then once we have that, we will continue to evolve it till we start to get some really interesting information from it.
So we're going to be using the Agile communities that we know about out there. We're hoping that you can help by participating. We're hoping you can also help by sharing this to colleagues and family and friends and other organisations. And the key thing as well is, we are looking for help with this. This is non-profit. We are we're just doing this really for the for the good of the community. So if you want to help with that too, really, the more people we can get involved in this, the better.
Yeah, that'd be great. We have quite a small community supporting us just now, but we'd really like to grow that and evolve that and do this as a community project rather than just two blokes sitting in a pub having a good idea and putting it into action.
But it's a damn good question.
It's a very good question.
Thank you.
Thank you.